Good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar from Spec Innovations, How to Perform Model-Based Reviews. My name is Joanna Moore, and I will be your moderator today. First, let's go over some quick housekeeping. During the presentation, feel free to send us questions, and we will get them answered in the question and answer part of the webinar. You can also interact with us on LinkedIn through the Innoslate user group or through Twitter using the handle @Innoslate. The webinar is being recorded, and we will make it available to you after the live presentation. So please be sure to keep an eye out for it in your inbox. Now, I would like to introduce to you our presenter, Dr. Steve Dam. He'll be sharing with you how to conduct model-based reviews within Innoslate. Dr. Dam is the president and founder of Spec Innovations, as well as one of our DODAF training instructors. He has been involved with research, experiments, operations analysis, software development, systems engineering, and training for more than 40 years. Dr. Dam is a member of the LML Steering Committee. He has also received an Expert Systems Engineering Professional Certification from INCOSE. Currently, he is applying systems engineering techniques to various DoD, DOE, and commercial projects. Feel free to send Dr. Dam any questions through the LinkedIn user group or send him an email. And now I will hand over the controls to Dr. Dam, and we'll get started.
Thanks, Joanna. So let me go through our agenda very briefly. We're going to talk about what do we mean by this term model-based review and why they're useful for us. And then talk about the process, how we capture the criteria, can add documents and content, review the models, cross-project collaboration, redaction capabilities that are in the tool, adding artifact workflow. We can even also do collaboration and show how that interacts, and of course, a live demo. I'll try to spend as little time on the slides as possible. The slides will be available for you as well. So model-based review, what do we mean by that? Well, what we're looking to do is make sure that the documentation is in a more human-readable form so that you can see it linked to the diagrams and things that are in the database. So this lets you interact with the data in the database directly rather than going and printing it out as documents, marking them up, and going through that long and laborious process of back and forth. This gives you an interactive medium for the reviewers as well as the development of the design information. The why? Well, it simplifies the review process significantly. I don't know about you all, but I've been in many reviews over the years. We usually have to stop almost maybe 2 weeks to a month before the actual review, produce all the documents from the database, go through and then have them all ready. In the old days, we actually printed them, and so people would go through and mark them up and do often a paper markup. Back then, hopefully people were doing at least electronic markup in Word or something like that. But then those comments have to be then brought back into the database, tied together with the modeling you're doing, and make the adjustments. And so it's a very long process of going back and forth. So this actually enables you to create more of an in-process review approach where you're seeing the things as they get produced. You can still conduct major milestone reviews as well, but it lets you do both. And I think it's a very effective way to really reduce the time and cost of this. This is really going to enhance your whole traceability throughout the life cycle. And we see this as a pathway to digital engineering. One of the big things in digital engineering topics I know that keeps popping up is how do we do model-based reviews? Well, we've been doing them for a long time. So anyway, capturing the criteria. So first of all, you want to go out and find out what the criteria are the user is going to use to review the information. So in the example we're showing is out of the Defense Acquisition University, there's a milestone documentation identification. So particularly I was looking at milestone A and all of the documents that have to be created for milestone A. They're statutory and regulatory documents for that purpose. And so we'd want to capture all those different document types so that we can make sure we could show how we can generate those within the model, the tool. I'm going to take a specific example of this, which is the acquisition strategy in a minute. We're going to see in the actual tool. So the idea is then capture that information, put it into a Word document or something like that, and then you import that data in. And so this is an example of what we did. We've captured right off the website, this list of documents, put it in, and create a number hierarchy to make it easier to import and track what's going on with the different aspects of it. So then, again, that import analyzer lets you bring that data in very easily, and you can see that, and then it ends up being a document in our documents view. And in this particular example, we used it as a requirements document. It wouldn't necessarily have to be that, but you might want to make it a simpler review document instead, just a base document. You really don't care. But the tool lets you author all these other things you need to link to this, which is your test plans, your ConOps, all the other things that are a part of the development of the actual materials that you're looking for in the review. So that documentation can take a form, and specifically, this is an example of the what's asked for in a. I think this is an example of the acquisition strategy document that was used, and that's the basis of what we're going to show you in more detail in the tool itself. And so, but add those that meet the criteria, make it very easy for the reviewer to see the information and work with it, and then you can use all the documentation kinds of tools like bolding, subscripting, italic, underline, all those kinds of things. You can add tables. You can give them information about where to go as well, hyperlinks to other things. And again, I'm going to show you all those as you go through. And even linking to diagrams and things like that, you can embed pictures and link to diagrams, or you can even have them linked to another project where that information is. So again, depending on how much you want them to interact with the review and the detail of the information. So that full digital traceability is going to give us that benefit, being able to go from the statements and other things, and then we can add risks, we can add decisions, issue tracking, all those kinds of things you need to do in conjunction with the review, and it can be established with the reviewers that way, and so they can see that you are doing the full set of engineering that needs to be done and have confidence in the design. Another thing you can do is baseline the documentation, by the way, so you can make sure that anything that is there doesn't get changed by anybody by accident. Again, you can kind of set up a pre-milestone A draft or something of the document, get all comments on that, and then produce a post milestone A document that maybe is the final. Again, so that these are things, again, stuff that you work with. Note in our baselining, we don't have the ability to go back. So once you baseline a document, it's baselined. And we did that because a lot of organizations actually use these kinds of things as a part of a legal process. So you can imagine if you're going to conduct a milestone review, they're going to want to make sure that you're not changing things that have, they keep that consistent view. If I wanted to be able to go back and say, well, here's what it was before and here's what it is after, and then you can also compare between the two different and run a change report for that to show them what was changed and how it was changed. So reviewing the models themselves, so that's a setup for the review. The actual reviewer basically comes in, and there's actually a reviewer license. So it's a very inexpensive license that we have available. It gives them access then to the project as read-only. They'll navigate through the models, look at the document that you have, at least whatever you shared with them correctly. And then they post comments against those. They can do that in the diagrams view itself or in the individual entities as well. So again, they can work with that. They can also use the chat functionality to talk to the reviewers, the developers, if you want to do that. Again, that's probably more useful for an in-process kind of review rather than a major milestone review. But again, that's something that is available and can be valuable to the review process. And again, you can also unshare people afterwards. So after you've done the work and you say, well, you know what, I don't want them to have access to it anymore, you just unshare them. And they can't get it back at that database. So you are in control of how the reviewers see the information. Cross-project collaboration, again, this allows us to do redaction, in fact, so you could hide proprietary or classified information even, or just maybe there's some reviewers you don't want to see it, and other reviewers you do. And so again, you can pick and choose who you want to see the information as you're doing that. Again, that quick review process, the developers can receive that instant response. You see the sidebar here has the place for the commenting. So you ask, well, what is the things like what's the linkage between these different batteries and the rest of the system? And so again, it's a kind of incomplete diagram probably, and so the reviewer is seeing that and saying, hey, you missed something here. That's kind of useful. So again, and that can be then responded to directly in real time if desired with the reviewers. Again, you can also create the comment summary. There's a comment report that's available as well. So you can see that, and it's a nice, very nice, well-formatted spreadsheet table that has all the information about what the comments were, and the linkages to the entities where those comments occurred. So again, you have that full traceability between the commenting and the different elements within the database. So it's nice. You have the comments and the answers in one single place, and it's accessible directly within the database. Of course, also you can add a workflow if you like at the artifact level. That's another thing that's available within the tool. And again, you can use that. We use a state machine diagram to model it, and then we just implement it pretty easily in the workflow. I'll show you the steps for that process. It's actually probably even easier than this looks. And that's in the schema editor itself. You go in and add an attribute to it. In this case, status doesn't artifact doesn't have a status attribute in the out of the box version, so we can add that to it. And so you can add workflow to any class as long as you use an enumerated attribute like that. And then transitions, of course, you can add the transitions in the workflow, so you can identify who can see it, who can make the changes, who can see it, who's notified, those kinds of things, and you can lock the entity after transition. So again, that full workflow kind of capability most people are looking for. And of course, that gives you complete configuration control. We are actually tracking the information at the entity level, so you actually can make sure you're ensured that the information is in sync with the current version. All of it, every view within our databases are generated automatically from the data. So as you change the data one place, you change it everywhere. So let me jump into a live demo. So that's a very quick set of the slides. So hopefully that wasn't too fast for everybody. So let me show you a couple things. This is the dashboard. And in here, I've got some information for them. So in the Wiki panel, I posted this note to the Milestone A reviewers. They can see the document by right-clicking the link. Before I do that, let me just walk through some of the rest of this dashboard. So some other information about the information that's here, the different artifacts we have, other classes of information up here to the right, and an activity feed to see who made changes recently. But probably the most important thing I want to point out is this entity table in the middle. We've uploaded actually not only the Milestone A documents and a start at the acquisition strategy document. I also uploaded a couple papers I found recently. I went just today. I realized that we had done this work some time ago. Dr. Jerry Sellers, one of our colleagues, used this in his CIS 638 class back in October 2013. So 5.5 years ago, we were using it. So that does indicate that we were thinking about this for a long time. And that paper is right here that they also produced. So this actually was updated in September. So you see it's even an earlier date than that. So it's been almost 6 years that this whole idea. And I think the first time I heard that term was Dr. Sellers coming up with the idea of model-based reviews. he also gave a presentation at NDIA's Modeling Simulation Conference committee, and it was a very intricate overview of what they did through that process. So I think you'll find it very interesting. You could write Dr. Sellers if he'd be willing to share this with you. We can put you in contact with him if you'd like. And another thing we have here is we do have our own, kind of white paper on how to perform model-based reviews. Much of the stuff you're going to see here in the demo part is available in this, so you can get more detail. So if you'd like, we can send that out to this list as well. I think that's something that you'll find very helpful in doing it, doing that work. So, with all that said, let me see if I can get back to my database. Here we go. Okay, so here's again your database with the information. So this said, well, let's see the document by right-clicking. So by right-click, it pops up a pop-up which says open link in new tab. Well, that's usually what I want to do because that's the easiest thing to do. So what that did was come up here and create a new tab with the particular document, and of course I'm signed out because I hadn't been in it for a while. So let me sign back in. And so here it is, that document, and that's that milestone A document that in terms of this is the rubric part. This is the one that has that list of documents. You can see the whole hierarchy here. Let me hide the detail of the acquisition strategies. That's the one I was building out. But you would do this for all of them. You would have all these different documents available within this database for the people to see and work with and use. So that's what you'd want to share. It would be this database primarily. You can share with people, and with right over here in the sharing, see the different people we have, and you can share it with different types of levels of things. If you don't want them to add comments, they can be just a viewer. So that would actually keep them from even writing a comment. So you can share it that level. And of course, that's something you can adjust at the organizational level, the different roles and responsibilities, so you can set up your own for that purpose. And notice Joanna's already on here, so let's go see her. She's over here, and Elizabeth as well. So we got two people on already. We could initiate a chat, and you can get that going back and forth to have that kind of communications with people. And Liz says hi. And so that's a way to start. And you can also make that a private chat as well, by the way. So again, you can kind of limit who you want to see with that. Now, so if I come in here, I've got the rubric, the score sheet basically for this review, and I'm just focusing right now on this acquisition strategy. So I put in a note here to see the acquisition strategy document. Click that link below. So that's this acquisition strategy link here in blue, if you see that. And then it also says click other links if you want to see relevant laws and policies. So here's Public Law 107-314 and DODI 5000.02. So this is links to those as well. So all I have to do, again, is click on that link for this one, and that brings me into the document I'm going to review. Now, I haven't done any real work here, but the italicized information is just the guidelines for this document, what should be in here. So just as an example, though, I want to show you how you capture some information added in here. So for example, here is an OV1 that I have. This is actually a picture. This was imported, this was brought in as an image. Okay, here is an image, and we have the ability to, with images, to add links and also add captions. If this picture was actually a diagram within this database, I could add it here as a live diagram as well. So again, but But this way, I'm forcing the reviewers to only see the picture I'm giving them rather than giving them access to that other project. And that's important because you may want to share with some reviewers or no reviewers the details that are in that other project. So it would hide that. So if I actually embedded here a specific, I could have a child level that's the actual object itself in here with a cross-project link, and that would be redacted if other people wanted to see it that way too. So again, there's a couple of different ways to interact with this. If I want to go to that picture, I can open a link in a new tab. Since I have access to it, since I'm the owner of that project, here's that live picture. So again, I get to determine who I share this with. It's a very, very different project. And I don't know if you can see or not, but if you look up at the top in the URL bar, there is you see spec P122. That's the project number for this database. If I click back to the previous one, you'll see this is project 130. Okay, so these are different projects that these are in. So again, the reviewer would have access only to the picture unless I gave them access to this other database. Okay, that's an important factor to think about. But this would then allow them to dive into it and go into more detail. So again, I might pick one or two reviewers to come in and do a deep dive into the database of the design database. But I probably wouldn't want to do that for all of them. And so I have, again, that ability over here in the sharing to pick and choose who gets to see that. For example, Joanna is not listed here, so she couldn't go to this and share it. She tried before we started. So again, that's a really nice thing to be able to hide the data, but still access the data, see the data, show the data. Notice in here, in fact, this is not the picture I have in there. This has actually changed a few places. I moved this picture. I recolored this to this conduit to use the white text instead, and things like that. So a bunch of little things that I made changes to it. That's not reflected in that other picture. If I go back, maybe you can see this. Probably can't, but the JDM is lower than it was, and that's probably easier to see, but the color of the text is black. Again, I know it's so small you can't see it, but I can, and it's easy to see the difference. So that's a key part of what you're trying to do with this. You really want to be able to, hide that data that you want, but share the data you want to share. So again, we have both options for you. So as you build through and we can keep coming back. Notice I've got multiple tabs now open for this example, all the way back to the original one we had, the dashboard. So it does that for you. And again, you can also see these other links. So again, as the reviewer is going along saying, well, wait a minute, I don't know what the implications of public law 107.314 is, but I want to. So they can click on that and go right to the public law, and then that lets them see the information they need to read. Of course, I don't know how many people would really want to do that, but it's available, and that's the point. Make it available to them how things are, what the rules are, and how the information is. So again, that could be any other more detailed set of information that you're looking for that you want to show the reviewer. So that's the main part of that. Let's see, and I think what we didn't do is show you commenting. Let me do that. Go back to the previous one here. Let's close that and get here. Okay, so again, if I wanted to make a comment about this particular element, I'd click on it, and the comments tab's right here. So this would be a place where a reviewer could add a comment. So they would just say, need access to this diagram to provide in-depth review. Post that. Now, since I did it, I could delete it, I could edit it, I can do other things with it. You can also resolve it as you go through the process. So again, there's an interactive side of this part of it. Let's see. So what else is kind of really hot with this? So again, I hope you see the basic process, how this works, and how you go through that, and then get that comment summary here with the comment report. So the comment report is part of the, oh, I'm sorry, it's part of the database view. Yeah. So you get a comment report is in here. So this would give you that Excel file with the report of the comments that are available to it. So let's just do that. And I haven't even checked this today, so here we go. No guts, no glory, right? Let's see what, oh, that's a good place for it. Let's bring it up now. And I just realized I just rebooted my computer, and somehow Macintosh and Excel don't love each other. So we'll see. It may take a few minutes for that to come up. Here we go. It is coming up, and it's coming up on my other screen. So let me add it here. Oh, good. So again, you can kind of adjust these, see the information a little bit more. I know there's a quicker way to do this. There we go. So you can see that, and so here's Joanna's comment she added, and you see the status of it, resolved or not. So again, it's a nice way to do it. But let's try to make that a little bigger for you to see. There you go. So you can see the information. And you can see the user, the date resolved, that kind of thing. Okay. So again, very nice, very simple, very easy to use way to do this. And we have lots of help for you to get you into using that part of it. So as I mentioned, the workflow, again, that's maybe something you want to get into, maybe something you don't. It's not that big a deal to what you're trying to do, but if you want to, that's here in the schema editor. It's how you set it up. If you want to diagram it, here's that diagram. So it's just a state machine diagram. So we set up the process of how we want to do workflow, and then use that as a model to tell us how we want to go ahead and implement it in the schema editor. So in the schema editor itself, the workflow, so this is the workflow tab. Now, if you don't have it in here, if an artifact wouldn't be in your base one, you need to actually add this status attribute to the artifact. That's actually very easy too. So all you do is go to classes, select artifact, and then you come in here to add property. Add property would be status. One of the status type, one of the attribute types is enumeration. That's the one you want to pick. And then you give it a list, and then give it the default position for it. What's the one? And it's usually the first one. So that's how we do that. And these are our different stages we had with it. So now once you go to that, go back to workflow, add that workflow class, which in this case was artifact, and then it would automatically create the basic table. You then would have to determine what the transitions are. So you get to determine, when you select it, what other states can I go to and transition to. And once you do that, then you will get perhaps multiple states. So final status can go to approved, archived, or revision. It needs to be revised. So again, those are the different states the way we set it up. Right now, I made it so everyone, anybody who has access to the database can have permission to change the status, and then I would be notified that that status was changed by email. So that's how it works. And then I could lock it afterwards. So again, very, very simple, basic kind of way to do workflow. and then apply that to your actual document. So I think that's really kind of in a nutshell the basic elements of it. It's actually much simpler and easier than perhaps you realize at first. Let me see if I can get there we go, get back to where I was. So let's go back to the dashboard, and let's open it up for questions. I think this is a good time to ask questions about what's going on, and let's see what we got here.
Yeah, it looks like we do have some questions.
Okay.
First question, will the slides be available and the webinar be recorded for later download? Absolutely. We will be sending those out after we get that established. We'll be emailing everybody that attended the webinar today. I can answer that one. Next one, would you mind explaining about artifact level?
Oh, okay, so the artifact is our container for statements in a document. So when you go to Documents View, each one of these items is an artifact. The artifact is the milestone A documents. So if I click on that, I can see that, and then it's the container. It has a source of relationship to statements and requirements. And so that's how we capture that information. By the way, notice I also have traceability indicators in this view to show that I have traced these to specific sections or specific information. So again, this is part of that traceability part. The actual artifact itself, you can open in Entity View and see that specific document. I always capture a little snapshot of the picture of whatever it is and use that here so I know exactly what I'm looking at. But you can fill in description fields, date published, all the other things you need to do to make sure you have a really good documentation of things. Let's go on. We've got a few more questions here.
Next question, does the reviewer permission allow two reviewers to respond to one another's comments, or is responding to a comment only allowed by collaborators?
I believe no. I think you can. It'll create a set of comments, so you can go ahead and yeah, everybody can make their own comments back and forth. The resolution, I believe, can only be done by the collaborator, but the reviewer can go ahead and add comments as they want to, and it doesn't matter who or how many.
Next question. Oh, question one, looks like a two-part here. How are external model images stored or uploaded to the database? That's the first question.
So that's very easy. In any of the description field views here, you can go ahead and just select the image, you drop the image file there, and boom, it appears within the document. Or if it's a diagram, if you're embedding a diagram, again, that has to be within the tool. And the only diagram I have here is the state machine. And I can go ahead and select that state machine artifact workflow and insert that here. So you can see the picture. And that's a live diagram. So if I change that diagram, that will automatically be updated. And second question?
Is there integration, import, export functionality with other tools such as doors?
Yes, so again, the way we do that is our import analyzer does the import, so to bring data in, particularly from doors and things like that, we use a CSV import. That's the simple way to do it. We are working on RecIF. We don't have that importer at the moment, but CSV does 80 or 90% of what you want, if not 100% of what you need. The export side of it, again, we can export as our own XML type, or we can also export as CSV, Word files, all kinds of different things for output. I think once you start seeing, though, the utility of InnoSlate for doing not only requirements management, but also requirements analysis, you may find that you're not going to be wanting to use doors a whole lot more.
Next question, can workflow notifications be sent to a group rather than an individual?
Ooh, that's interesting. I believe the answer to that is yes, but let me take a quick look because I don't know everything. Notifications. So yes, I think I can make that a team. Gosh, I almost have to start a new one to see it.
You have to share the project with the team.
Yeah, so I've not done it, but I don't know why that would necessarily be. I don't. Oh, I know. I don't have a team in this one. That's why. Yeah. That's why I'm not seeing it. Let me see if I go to one I have a team in. Schema editor, workflow. Do I have that option? Software team. The answer is yes. So, okie doke. Let's keep going. We got more questions still.
Can IEEE,
IEEE
15288, and IEEE standard for technical reviews and audits on defense programs be used to conduct model-based technical reviews?
I don't see why not.
If so, how?
But same way, you just basically capture whatever that rubric, that template of information is, captured as a document here, and you would just then make the linkages between the things you have to develop and deliver to that. So again, that traceability is easy to set up and make those links between them.
Next part of the question, what other systems engineering standards for technical reviews are used?
Any you want. It's really up to you. This is independent of all that. So it's really up to you to how you get that set up. And he's corrected himself, say IEEE 15288.2. Okay, let's see.
Next question, is there an alert email feature to indicate when the version changed?
So again, I think that's really set up with that workflow and the notifications. That's really how that's done.
And is there configuration management provided in this tool?
Yes. So in fact, at the entity level, I can open the history dialog of any entity and see how it was changed, when it was changed, who changed it. I can even, if I have the permissions, I can revert back to a previous version of it. So yes, it has full configuration management within the tool.
Next question, does this tool allow SysML modeling in addition to DODAF?
Sure, why not? So if I go and get one of my diagrams here and I want to see it, so here's one of my action diagrams and I want to see that as an activity diagram. I just come over here and click on this and there it is. Now I have never opened this before, which is why it looks a little funky. I would probably move things around a little bit, make it look a little prettier. But otherwise than that, it's good to go.
Next question, can this technical reviews method be based on the concurrent systems engineering development methodology wherein all systems engineering processes are executed and baselines developed concurrently by serially, i.e., where all of the systems engineer baselines, capabilities, functional requirements, allocation, etc., are developed concurrently?
Absolutely. That's the whole idea here, is to let you do an in-process kind of review so you can work with that and work as a team with your reviewers rather than an adversarial relationship. I always prefer to do that way. Unfortunately, too often that's an adversarial relationship over the years.
Good question. Is there a check-in, check-out feature documents?
Well, not really, because we have so the documents are all live, and so they're interactive. So the check-in, check-out would actually block people from doing things. However, if the locked is on and you've locked one, or you want to lock a particular one, I can go ahead and lock any entity. So I can make sure that entity can't be changed. So the answer is yes and no. We prefer not to use it that way. We recognize that some people might want to, so certainly that is available.
Oh, feature for documents. So that was an edit to the question.
Mhm.
Next question, can multiple users edit a single document?
Absolutely, and that's something that is again part of that whole collaborative environment. Now, of course, you don't want to give people access to something that you don't want them to mess with, perhaps. So again, you have that control if you're owning the project, and you can have your own project with your stuff in it separately from everybody else, and then you can share what you want to share. So again, you have full control if you are the project owner of the project itself. So all the privileges that are associated with an owner, which is total control of the project. Let's see, do we have more questions? Yes, I did. Yeah, we got a question, did we allow the tool SysML modeling in addition to DODAP? The answer is yes, we have done that. That was this answer just a minute ago. Okay. Let's see. Some more?
Next question, how are capabilities, functions, requirements, physical elements, and V&V methods be linked?
Okay. It says one-to-one.
One-to-one. Yeah.
Okay, so in fact, all the way through the tool, there are relationships associated with everything. So the linkages occur through these relationships, and so I can see how everything is connected very easily by just clicking on an element, looking at its relationship on a sidebar. Another way to do that would be to open a spider diagram and see all the relationships for that object here. And it's got a lot, more than I realized when I opened it. So wow. And again, I can filter that to get down just the relationships I want. So let's just get the traceability relationships and get those and regenerate this a little simpler probably. There we go. So again, a little simpler, but not much. It's a pretty busy diagram. But these are, again, all live objects. All the information about them is here on the sidebar as you click on them, and you can work through them as you need to. Let's see. Any other questions?
Looks like that concludes it.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. As a reminder, we will be following up with you very soon to send you the link to the recording and the presentation slide deck. We would also like to invite you to our next webinar in a slate for new users on June 6th, so be sure to check your email for the invitation. We do encourage you to visit our website and our blog, as well as connect with us on social media. That concludes today's presentation. Thank you again for your attendance and enjoy the rest of your day.